Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. My name is Efren.
And my name is Ashley. And today we're going to be talking about our miscarriage and finding out we're pregnant. So basically, we always kind of talked about starting a family, and he always really wanted a baby. We always talked about it even before we were married. But after we got married, we started trying, and we actually got pregnant kind of fast. I just knew something was up because my boobs were kind of sore and just like I was having a lot of symptoms. And that's whenever I started realizing that I was pregnant. I was kind of nervous on telling my parents. Like, I didn't know how my dad would react or how my mom would react, or even his family. Like, I didn't know how they would react just because we had just gotten married and we were already pregnant. The way I ended up getting a test was I actually told his sister, because somehow his mom actually knew that I was pregnant before I even said anything, because we have a nephew and he was like really attached to me at church. He was like really attached to me, and his mom started picking up on that, but that was before. She didn't tell me that she knew, but his mom and his sister were actually talking about it. And one time me and his sister were in the kitchen alone, and she ended up bringing it up to me if we wanted to start a family or have kids anytime soon. I was like, well, I was like, we might have already. It's just like, what? Because I was like, yeah, I'm late on my period. And she was like, oh my goodness. So she actually was messaging me that night. She was like, I'm gonna bring you a pregnancy test in the morning so you can take it, and that way we'll know. But I was like, don't tell your mom yet. And she's like, no, I'm not gonna tell her. It's just gonna be between me and you. And then I was like, that whole night I was like, I could not sleep. Like, I could not sleep at all. Like, I basically knew I was pregnant. Like, and then I remember I like woke up super early, which is not normal for me. I don't wake up early, but I woke up super early and I was like, when are you coming? She's like, oh, I'll go later, which is like freaking hours what it felt like to me, because I woke up super early. But she finally came. But the thing is, she came with her mom at the same time. Like, they were together, and I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, did she see you with the pregnancy test? Like, what is she gonna think? She came to the room and knocked on the door, and I obviously knew that she had the pregnancy test. I went to the restroom and I took it, and right whenever I put it down and I flushed, and then whenever I went to look at it, it said 2 lines. Like, the second line was really dark. Like, they were both really dark. Like, there was no way that I would say that I wasn't pregnant. Like, I knew I was pregnant. And she went up, she's like, so what? She was like messaging me, what? I was like, I'm pregnant. I was like, I am pregnant. And she's like, oh my gosh. She's like, congratulations. And then the next day, I think his sister was there, because I think at the time, bitches didn't have a job. At the time, one of his sisters didn't have a job, and she was at the house with me and Efren's mom. And we were going to go eat. I think we were going to go out to eat. And I think we were going to take you lunch first. I think we took you lunch. Yeah, well, I actually don't remember what the reason was, but we were all in the car, and we were going to go see Efren at work and drop... we were gonna drop lunch off for him. When we got there, like, I obviously knew that I was pregnant for sure, and he didn't know anything, but I was so happy to see him, and I was thinking of ways to tell him. And his mom and his other sister still didn't know. Like, they didn't know, but they were in the car, and I was like, should I tell them? Because I wanted to get Efren or something. I wanted to surprise him in some way, but I just didn't know how. So I ended up saying bye. We drove off and we stopped at like a red light, and I have to tell y'all something. And obviously his mom knew. And she was like, what? Like she was like, turned on the radio, and I was like, crap. I like scooted back, and I was like freaking out, and I was like, I'm pregnant. And she like turned back at me, and his mom was like, what? What? She's like, I already knew it. And I was like, what? You did? She was like, yeah, I already knew it. And she was explaining to me what I had said before about our nephew, that he was so attached. And I was really nervous in telling her, but she didn't react bad or anything. Like she took it real well. And so I was like, I want to surprise that friend because he doesn't know. We went to the dollar store first because I ended up getting a little box that opened up one way, and I got 2 little cheap onesies from there, and I got like this like, do you remember? This like a little paper stuff, and I think we went next door to Payless, and I got little baby shoes, and oh yeah, at the dollar store I got balloons. But we ended up getting all of that, and we ended up going to eat after, and I was really nervous because I kept asking Efren what time he would get home from work, and he didn't know. Like, sometimes they make him stay late, sometimes they don't, sometimes he'll leave early, I think he told me 4:30, and it was like 3-ish, so we were eating, and that whole time I was just thinking about how I was gonna do it, like ideas. So we ended up finishing, and we got to the house, and so when we got to the house, I told his sister, since she has really good at handwriting, I told her to write I think 1 + 1 = 3, because like we're gonna have a baby. So I told her to write that, and then at the bottom write, we're pregnant. It said 1 + 1 = 3, and we're pregnant. And then I put all of the stuff in the box, and then his sister wrapped the balloons around it, and I had that in her room because I didn't want him to walk in and see it whenever he went into the room. But Efren ended up staying later for some reason. I think they made him stay later, and he was in a bad mood. And he was like telling me, he's like, babe, I'm sorry, like they're making me stay. He was like, okay, I'm on my way, this and that, I have a game. And I was like, okay, whatever. So I was waiting for him to get home, and I told his sister that she had the stuff in the room. So I told her whenever he's in the room changing, for her to take the box and take it to the kitchen where he sits. And he was taking forever in the room. Like he was taking forever. He was like telling me what happened at work, and I was like, babe, hurry up, change. He's like, why do you want me to change? We're gonna go eat, this and that. Like, and I was like, just change shirts or something. He was taking forever. Like, I remember I was like, oh my gosh, because it was so hard to surprise him. And I mean, if I kept acting weird, I would give it away. And then whenever he was ready, I was like, you need to cover your eyes, because I didn't want him to be like, what is that? I wanted him to see it like right whenever he was at the table. And so I was like, before we left the room, I was like, you need to cover your eyes. And I think that week his aunt was making some cheesecake, and he really wanted some cheesecake, and so he thought that I was surprising him with some cheesecake for some reason. But I was like, you need to cover your eyes. And he was like, why do I need to close my eyes? He was being so stubborn, and I was like, oh my gosh, just close your eyes. And so I actually like had my hands over his face because I knew he wasn't gonna do it. So I was like, just come with me, okay, because I'll lead you. Well, only his 2 sisters and his mom and I knew, so only 4 of us knew, and his dad, his 2 other brothers, and his other sister didn't know. So they were probably like confused on why that box was there with balloons and why they had their cameras. But Efren was taking so long. And I was like, hurry up, you know? And so he finally was coming out, and I surprised him. He was like, what is this? And then the funny thing is, we're actually going to insert the video so y'all can see it. But the funny thing is, Efren like flipped it open and completely like did not read it. And I'm pretty sure he just, since he was thinking about cheesecake, he thought it was cheesecake. And so he was just, but we'll insert that video and y'all will see his reaction.
Efren!
Don't move my hand.
1, 2, 3. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Come on, guys.
Que lo abra, que lo abra.
Que lo haga.
Why you didn't read it?
Benji said it was a cake.
What? Real?
Ya viste la snake.
It's crazy. Oh no, it's not. Look inside.
Since when? What?
¿Qué es, Benji?
¿Qué es, Benji? ¿Ah?
How did I know? Keep looking. You didn't look at everything.
I'm done. Oh, I'm not gay. I gay first.
How do you know if it's a boy or girl?
Gosh, you were taking so long.
I know, it was
Yeah.
so hard to surprise you. It was so hard to surprise you. I was like, come on, and I didn't want to give it away.
What did I tell ya?
Las dos.
You're gonna be a dad.
You would have lost, Betchy.
Yeah.
You happy?
It's crazy.
You was a kid on a cheesecake.
That's what he said. Because we were in the room and I closed his eyes. I was like, you gotta close your eyes. He's like, it's a cheesecake. And that was our miscarriage. It happened so fast, I guess. And I just remember that my mom was going on vacation to California for a week, and she wanted Efren and I to stay there, watch the house, and feed the animals. And Efren and I were like, okay, we'll do it. We'll stay there. But that night before we were gonna leave over there, I actually started bleeding. Well, I thought that was a miscarriage because I did not know what a miscarriage was. Not a lot of people talk about, well, I've never talked about a miscarriage or heard anyone talk about a miscarriage. I just thought a miscarriage was whenever you're like bleeding a lot, like more than you should. Like spotting was fine, but you're bleeding. And I was actually like bleeding whenever I went to my mom's. I kept bleeding, and I told her, because she had already left, and she was like, just keep an eye on it, you know, and if you keep bleeding, then you might want to go get checked at the hospital. So Efren and I were at the house, and I just kept bleeding, and I was like, babe, I'm not stopping. So we ended up going to the hospital in Athens, which is our town where we live, but my mom lives in Brownsboro, which is like 45 minutes away or 30 minutes away from that hospital. And we actually drove to Athens, and we went there, and I told that lady up front that I thought that I was I was miscarrying. And so she put it down, and then they called me back there, asked me questions, and then they drew blood, and then they said that they were going to look at my cervix, and they said that if it was open, I had a miscarriage, but if it was closed, then I was still pregnant. Anyways, whenever they went back there and they took me back there, they actually laid me down because they were going to do a sonogram, and I knew, because I think I was 4 months at the time, I knew that we could see a baby, for sure, that we would be able to see a baby since I was so far along. And whenever he put it on my belly, I could see the little sac thingy, but I did not see the baby. And automatically I knew something was wrong, and I knew Efren didn't know anything was wrong because he kind of had a smile on his face, but I know you didn't know anything, like he didn't know anything was wrong. He didn't know what you should see or anything, and he was getting me to turn on my side to see if maybe he could see it that way. Like, I was like, no, something's wrong, and he was like, this doesn't mean anything, we're gonna check your cervix. And so after they left, I started crying because I knew automatically something was wrong. Efren was talking to me. He's like, God always knows, he always knows the right thing to do. If we weren't ready, we might have not been ready, and he'll bless us whenever the time is right. And so they took me into a different room, and they actually told me to lay down. And so I laid down, and they were going to check me, and they said that my cervix was still closed, so I did not have a miscarriage. But they took that blood and to test it, and they came back like 2 hours later. Like, it took forever, and that made me get even more worried. And he told me that I had a threatened miscarriage. Threatened miscarriage is where either you can keep the baby or you'll lose the baby. There's nothing you can do about it. He told me that I just needed to be on bed rest, to take it easy, to rest as much as I can, and to take a lot of fluids, and that there was nothing that I could do about it. And he told me that miscarriages is not anything to do with me. It's not any of his fault or my fault. It's nothing to worry about with us. It's just that the baby was not developing right, and it's just the body knows. Well, 2 days later, my mom ended up actually getting there, and Efren and I actually left before she got there, so we were home. But I told my mom that I was still bleeding, and I think that night it was kind of like little bitty clots, and so I thought that that was a miscarriage. So Efren and I actually got it through our heads that was a miscarriage, but that was nothing compared to the actual miscarriage. Like, we actually basically thought, like, we said to ourselves that was a miscarriage. And whenever I told his mom, he was like, no, that's not a miscarriage. A miscarriage is you lose all of everything that was in your tummy, like, the baby, everything. And I didn't know that. Like, I didn't know any of that. And then, so whenever I told my mom, she was like, let's just go ahead and go to the hospital in Tyler, which was,
Like 45.
like
Maybe 50.
like almost an hour away, and that one's like a way better hospital. Like, they actually care. Well, Efren and I stopped by to pick my mom up, and I actually had to get pads because I was bleeding so much, and I did not want to get tampons and put anything up there to, like, I just didn't want to do that. And I had pads, like, and they were like if I was bleeding enough to use pads, like, I knew something was wrong. And so we were heading to Tyler, and as soon as we parked the car, I felt a bunch of stuff come out, and I knew that was not normal. Like, it is not, like, whenever you have your period, is not anything like that. Like, you cannot control it. It was a bunch basically my body was cleaning out the you know. And so I freaked out, and my mom was like, let's go inside, because we had just parked, and I just didn't want to walk. I was so uncomfortable. But my mom was like, you know what, go to the bathroom, I'll sign you in. Because whenever I was about to start signing all my stuff, it happened again. Like, more stuff started coming out. And so as soon as I went to the restroom and I sat down, basically a whole bunch of stuff came out. Like, a lot of stuff. Like, I could not control it as soon as I sat down. Because whenever you have a miscarriage, your cervix opens. Like, there's no way for you to stop it. It comes out on its own. And I freaked out. I literally thought that my insides were coming out because so much stuff came out. And I didn't know, like, I really wanted Efren to be there, but I knew it was the girls' bathroom and he couldn't go in there. And I didn't want to scare him, because obviously we were pregnant and that was our baby. So I mean, I didn't want to scare him. But I mean, I knew I was having a miscarriage, and that's whenever I knew, because all of that stuff was coming out. But I ended up calling my mom in there. I was like crying, I was yelling. I didn't want to scare anybody, but I was crying. I was freaking out. Like, my mom was like, Ashley, just calm down. Like, it's okay, it's okay. And I just remember sitting there, and I didn't want to get up. Like, I didn't want anything to come out. But I think I ended up moving a little bit, and a whole bunch more came out. Like, I went to the restroom like 5 times. Actually, whenever I was having a miscarriage, I started having a lot of pain. Like, do you remember that? Like, I was like leaning over. Like, I started having a lot of pain because I had like a lot of lower back pain. And I was like leaning over, and basically I wanted to hurry up and be seen. I was like in so much pain, and then they finally called me to take a urine sample. And then I want to say like 20-30 minutes later, it took a while, but they ended up getting me a room, and they were like, go ahead and lay down, put this gown on, this and that. And then some guys came in, and oh my gosh, they actually were gonna put an IV in me. And there was a guy that was training. I think the guy that was training put the IV in me, and he put it in wrong. Like, it was hurting, like, the whole time. It was stinging. And I was like, oh my god, like, it freaking hurts. But there was a woman who came and took me to a different room. She was going to do a sonogram on me, a vaginal ultrasound on me. And she was checking, and she was like, yeah, you don't have anything in there. There's no sign of you being pregnant. So I knew that I had a miscarriage. And that whenever the doctor came, he was like, yes, you had a miscarriage because there was no sign of you being pregnant. Like, they were going to take me to a different room to check my cervix to see if everything was out. If everything wasn't out, they were going to suction it out. And I was like, I do not want to go through that. Like, I was pretty sure everything was out because I went to the restroom like 6 times. He ended up checking me. He was like, yeah, everything came out. You'll probably still have a little more stuff coming out, but it's normal, you know. And so they sent me home. They told me to rest, to drink lots of fluid, and I was, you know, they told me to go back and to check to see how I'm doing. And that was that. Well, actually, we didn't tell anybody. Like, this was kind of secretive, so that was a good thing. Not a lot of people knew. It was only in my family and his family who knew, and a couple of my friends who knew. So it wasn't too crazy. But after that, we actually took a break, and we were doing normal lives. I went back to playing soccer. We actually got on a co-ed team together. We were playing, everything was fine. We weren't really worried about any of that because they were, you know, I didn't want to go through that again. And, like, I would not wish that upon anyone to go through. And, you know, we weren't really worried about starting a family. Like, that wasn't our first priority or you know. But then after like a couple of months, we wanted to try again. Because we really did want a little baby. You know, he really wants a baby boy. I also want a baby boy, but if we have a girl, we'll both be happy. And I mean, I knew I was still playing soccer, but I mean, I really didn't think I was gonna get pregnant that quick. And the second time, I did not know I was pregnant. Like, I did not know, because the first time my boobs were really sore. I was hungry all the time. Well, I'm still hungry all the time this pregnancy, but at the time I wasn't like paying attention. My boobs weren't sore. Like, I was cramping a little bit, but like, I thought it was just, you know, I was gonna start my period. But I was a day late, and I was like, you know what, let's just go get a pregnancy test. Like, what is it gonna hurt, you know? And so everyone was like, fine, whatever, because he did not want me to go get a pregnancy test. He was like, no, wait till you're further, like, I don't want to get my hopes up, this and that. And I was like, what do you mean? I just want to know if I am or not, like, you know? Put it into your hand.
I've been getting blue. Let me disappoint. The whole time.
Oh my god.
Blue and blue.
Okay, well, anyways, we ended up going to the store, and I got a little pregnancy test box that comes with two. One of them was a digital test, and the other one was the one that has positive or negative. And then whenever I came back, I needed to go to the restroom, so I was like, should I take it? And I was like, but it's really more accurate in the morning whenever I take it in the morning. But I just couldn't wait. And he's like, yeah, go take it. Because he didn't think I was going to be pregnant. Which I didn't either. I just wanted to know. And I was going to wait a little longer to take the digital one. Whenever I went to the restroom and I took the test, literally, like, I want to say like a minute later. No, not even a minute. Like a couple seconds later. Like, it literally showed positive right away. And I was like, you're lying? I was like, no, what the heck? Because I did not think I was pregnant at all. No symptoms, nothing. But I mean, it was pretty early. And I was like, oh my gosh. Because I wanted to surprise him also. But I remember last time he was like, no, I want you to tell me whenever you're pregnant. But I like surprising him. Anyways, I actually wanted to like say I threw away the pregnancy test and then be like, oh, it was negative. And then, like, you know, have it in my pocket and then surprise him like the next day. But I couldn't wait. So he was on the bed, like, watching a video, and I was outside of the door, and I actually got my camera, and I started recording, and I kind of just dropped it right there in front of him, and then he was like, are you serious?
Speaking of 3 times when the match continued, we keep being told play can be halted, but when after 45 minutes we have to take matters into our own hands.
Are you serious?
He did not know I was gonna be pregnant, which I didn't either. And so, like, okay, this is also what happened last time. Like, whenever I knew I was pregnant, or whenever I thought, like, any of that, like, I could not sleep. Like, I could not sleep. I woke up super early to take the second one, the digital one. And I took it, and it came out positive. It came out positive. he didn't know I took it because obviously he was still asleep. And whenever I took it and it came out positive, that was whenever I knew that I was pregnant. Like, I was like, okay, 2 tests. Yeah. And then I ended up coming back to the room. I laid down for a little bit, could not go to sleep, and I was like, what's a way that I could surprise him, but not for it to be too crazy? Because I didn't want to just give him the test again, like I did the night before. So I got the keys. Keep in mind, I do not drive without him, ever, 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 ever. This is the first time that I drove by myself, and it went good. I was scared though. So I left, I took off, and I went to Walmart, and I got a little bag, like that had like, it was gold glitter on it with a little heart. I got a little onesie, and I put the 2 tests in there, and then I got a card. I don't know, it said I love you on the card, and it said something else, but I think it was talking about how I was so ready to see like what the future has in store for us, which is a little baby. And I put at the end like, get ready daddy or something like that. And so he was like laughing, which he had already knew because he's seen the pregnancy test the night before, but I just wanted to do a little something for him. But he had just woken up, so he was like half asleep. But I did a little something for him anyways. Baby, open it. Get up though. I want you to sit up.
What is this, man? Who knew? Who knew?
Look in there. You're not done looking. You kind of smudged the writing. That doesn't come out weirdo. That doesn't open like that either. What do you think? You already know? We actually recently went to go get a sonogram, and let me tell you, I was so nervous. I was really nervous. I was excited and nervous at the same time. Nervous because of the miscarriage. I didn't want nothing bad to happen. I was really scared. But I mean, I knew nothing was wrong. I knew everything was gonna be okay. Well, we ended up getting our sonogram. Our baby's already waving and kicking. I am 10 weeks and 3 days today. Or 4 days. Crap, I don't know. But our baby was scanning. Well, at the time when we went, I was 9 weeks and 6 days. So the next day I would have been 10 weeks. And whenever she measured the baby, she said he or she, sorry. When I say, keep saying he and it's a girl. He was scanning out to be 10 weeks and 4 days. So yeah, we were excited. I was excited. I was tearing up. I was trying so hard not to cry because that lady had the little machine thingy with the little thingy.
What it does? It interrupts it or what?
Well, whenever I move my belly, yeah. Whenever I seen the baby, it was such a big relief for me. Like I seen a little peanut. Oh my goodness, that smile. He's so happy. But I was so excited. I was so relieved. Like, you can even hear me in the video whenever she's like, there's the baby. I'm like, oh my gosh. My mom kept making fun of me.
Kicking. Very active.
When do you start feeling that?
Most people will start feeling them around 15 to 20 weeks. It just depends on the baby and how much it moves. But right now you might feel like butterflies, and that could be the baby. It can also be gas, but it can be the baby. But you can see the little eye and the mouth right there. That's the eye, that's the mouth, that's the nose, that's the hand, that's the foot. So baby's scanning out to 10 weeks, 4 days, and you're supposed to be 9 weeks, 6 days. So your due date's going to be September the 6th. Everything looks good.
But I was so like relieved, you know, because I was thinking about that, and you know, after a miscarriage, everything is scary, but our baby's good. She said everything's fine. This is your baby. I'm gonna go ahead and show y'all since y'all seen the video already. See his little hand and his feet. He was moving so much, and y'all be able to see in the video also his heartbeat, or her heartbeat. I keep saying his. How do you feel on being a daddy?
Excited.
Oh, my baby's so shy. This was our video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, bye guys.
Bye.